morning, or depending when you're watching this, good afternoon, good evening, or good night. My name's Ross, and as always told out of Voice of Radio, and given that Vivid Voltage, we've had the pre-releases, and given that the set is out very, very soon, and we know what's in the set, it's probably about time we took a look at the top 20 cards. We're in a stage now where there's so many cards in each set, and so many good ones. I think trying to limit it to a top 10 would be, not entirely easy. So, I don't think we even need any honourable mentions this time. Starting off at number 20, we've got the new energy cards. Yes, I'm cheating. No, I don't particularly care. Aromatic Grass Energy is a grass energy that, when attached to grass Pokemon, makes them immune to special conditions. That's going to be useful against a bunch of decks. Not every deck, but it means you don't have to worry about stuff, which is kind of cool. Coating Metal Energy takes away your weakness. Yes, I know Weakness Guard Energy exists in the format at the moment, but I also know that there's Pokemon out there like Zacian who don't have a colourless energy in their attack cost, and this is a Metal Energy, and there's just plenty of reasons why we like this. And of course, Weakness Guard Energy is going to rotate out in September. This is not going to rotate out in September. This one's pretty good. We're also getting Wash Water Energy, whereby it prevents all effects of attacks other than damage done to the water Pokemon it's attached to. That's special conditions, removing energy, instant KOs, etc., which is quite nice. And for my money, the best of them, Stone Fighting Energy, which is a fighting energy that reduces damage done to the fighting Pokemon it's attached to by 20, which is going to be extremely useful to tank and all of that good stuff. In at number 19, we've got Celebi Amazing Rare. And this one is really more on potential than what it's shown so far over in Japan, etc., where it is legal. You see, Celebi Amazing Rare's got a rather amazing attack for a Lightning and a Psychic Energy that says each of your evolved Pokemon, for each of them, you get to search your deck for a card that evolves from it and evolve them. Only up to a stage 1, not up to a stage 2, but you just get to evolve all of your bench Pokemon. There has got to be some kind of evolution deck out there that can benefit from evolving all of your Pokemon in one go. That's got to be a good thing. In at number 18, we've got Leon. Now, we'll get to Leon with Charizard later. For now, we're just talking Leon generally. And Leon is a rather spiffing card that says that all of your attacks for the rest of the turn do an extra 30 damage. And I don't know about you, but I have very much always been of the opinion that doing extra damage is always good. This is going to get some key KOs that you'd miss otherwise, and it deserves to be on this list. In at number 17, another card that I am rather unsure of, ZARUDE V. This could end up being the best card or one of them in the game, or it could end up seeing no play whatsoever. It's got a moderately not that useful attack for 2 energy that does 50 damage and stops your opponent retreating. Far better is the attack for 2 grass energy that does 100 damage, but allows you to attach up to 2 basic energy from your hand to your bench Pokemon in any way you like, healing all damage from the Pokemon to whom you have attached the energy. So we got decent damage, energy acceleration, and healing. This seems like a way we can start making grass decks great again. And yeah, fine, fire decks are good right now, and maybe it's not going to be amazing, but I have a little bit of faith. In at number 16, another card that honestly there's a very good chance I've put far too low, but it definitely deserves to be on this list, CIRCHESTER Bath. All basic Pokemon in play take 20 less damage from attacks from the opponent's Pokemon. I'm not entirely sure why we need buffs to basic Pokemon, when basic Pokemon are all in the format and it's evolution Pokemon that really need the help, but no matter. It's a very good card that is going to absolutely help all of those lovely basic Pokemon. And frankly, this is just a great card that you should expect to see popping up in a whole bunch of decks. Honestly, the biggest reason to not play it is it helps your opponent as well. In at number 15, another one of those amazing rares, it's Raikou. And this is one that has popped up in a bunch of deck lists I've seen coming out of Japan. Raikou again has a super awkward attack cost, 1 grass, 1 lightning, 1 metal, the amazing rare Pokemon tend to, but it does 120 to your opponent's active and it does 120 to one of their bench Pokemon. In the right context, in the right game, if you play this well, however you want to phrase it, this should be taking a double KO. This should be taking 2 prizes, so yeah, fine, it's an awkward attack cost, but if I'm taking 2 prizes at the same time, I am cool with it. In at number 14, we've got Nessa. And Nessa, frankly, is a lovely recovery card for water decks, and it really should be a consideration for every water deck. Nessa lets you put 4 in any combination of water Pokemon and water energy from your discard pile into your hand. So you can get 4 Pokemon, 4 energy, 2 of each, 3 of one of the other, however you like. But not only is it really good recovery, it also puts those cards into your hand rather than something like Brock's Grit that will put those cards into your deck and then you've got to actually try drawing into them, which is, shall we say, not entirely ideal. Yeah, this one's going to get played in a bunch of water decks. Speaking of supporter cards which are particularly good in one type of deck, how about B? B lets you discard the top 5 cards of your deck and attach any energy cards you discarded to your benched fighting Pokemon in any way that you like. Now, as a fighting deck player generally, I am clearly biased towards this one phenomenally. I am massively biased towards this, but that's not the point. The point is that this is going to get your energy and it's going to give you energy acceleration. I mean, Excadrill wants to try and get down to as few cards in your deck as possible. That's going to help. But also, what about something like Marshadow and Machamp? A card which is generally too awkward to get rolling because the attack cost is too high. Along comes B and everything changes. Speaking of energy acceleration, in at number 12, we've got Electrode. And Electrode is a card that I am a rather large fan of indeed. It's another one of these Pokemon that you have to KO to actually use, which is awkward, and it does give up a prize. But you also get to search your deck for 2 lightning energy and attach them to your lightning Pokemon in any way that you like. So that's pretty gosh darn good. Lightning decks are going to want to play this, and I'm not saying this is going to make every single lightning deck amazing instantly, but I am saying this is going to give a sizable advantage to all lightning decks out there, and that has got to deserve a place on the list. Now, in at number 11, I am cheating and you can't stop me, but please don't stop watching or I'll be sad. We've got the When You Play Them Pokemon. So Beedrill, if it's the last card in your hand, you play it from your hand onto your bench and draw 3 cards. It's not a particularly great attacker, you'll probably never attack with it, and honestly, I don't think it needs to necessarily go into a grass deck. But it's got 3 retreat, so it can't be dragged into the active to stall. It gives up 1 prize, and it's great draw power. If something like a Great Ball is the last card in your hand, and it draws this, great, 3 cards. If you've got a Turffield Stadium in play, and 0 cards in hand, boom, 3 cards. I love it. But maybe you'd rather evolve to get your 3 cards, in which case might I introduce you to Manectric. When you play Manectric from your hand to evolve one of your Pokemon, you draw 3 cards, which is awesome. Don't forget, of course, that Scoop Up Net will allow you to reuse this. So the theory is that you've got an Electrike on the bench, you evolve into Manectric, draw 3 cards, the next turn you Scoop Up Net the Manectric, bench the Electrike, evolve the already benched Electrike, draw another 3 cards, and round we go. These 2 combined are going to give you really nice draw power when you don't want to play those 2 prize Pokemon like Dedenne. And while we're talking these kind of Pokemon, we might as well mention Trumbeak. And yes, this is our second good Trumbeak card, despite the fact we've never had a good Toucannon card. What's up with that, eh? But when you evolve into Trumbeak, you get to reveal the top 3 cards of your deck. and attach any number of basic energy cards to your Pokemon in any way that you like. You don't actually have to reveal them, you look at them, you don't have to show your opponent. The rest of them get shuffled back into your deck. And again, you can use Super Scoop Up to reuse this. You can use the Oranguru from Sword and Shield, swap an energy card in your hand with the top card of your deck to guarantee that you'll hit at least one energy from this, though you could hit more. And frankly, this is a wonderful, wonderful card. I think Trumbeak is going to make a difference. Not in every deck, but I think there are going to be decks around that take great advantage of this. In at number 10, we had to put it on the list somewhere, didn't we? It's Pikachu VMAX. Now, Pikachu VMAX comes in as a rather chunky boy, and for free lightning energy, you do 120. But if you want to discard all the energy from this Pokemon, you instead do 270. And I know that a lot of people aren't huge fans of this, but remember that Eternatus generally does 270. Now, Eternatus has a bit of extra HP, which is nice. It's got an extra 30. And it does give you 8 bench spaces, which gives you extra utility, which is nice. But it's got to have a full bench. Pikachu doesn't. Now, Pikachu does have to discard all the energy, and that's kind of sad, but don't forget the Electrode I told you about a moment ago. Don't forget Tapu Koko Prism Star. Don't forget Turbo Patch before you evolve. When you evolve, of course, you can't use it because you're an evolved, not a basic Pokemon. There are ways to get the energy on, and there's going to be plenty of turns you don't need to discard the energy. Doing 120 will be fine. I do think people are going to play this just for the love of Pikachu, but I also think this is going to end up being a rather nice deck indeed. In at number 9, we've got one of my favourites from the set. And again, I'm afraid we're having to cheat a little bit here because we're having to mix some cards together. Now, BARRASKEWDA is a rather nice card that for a single water energy does 20 damage to one of your opponent's bench Pokemon for each damage counter on them. Or to think of it another way, it trebles the damage. Cool. Now, the good news is that Arrokuda comes along with the attack Flock. For one colourless energy, you get to search your deck for up to 2 Arrokuda and put them onto your bench. So that's going to be nice and consistent in terms of getting your BARRASKEWDA out. But then we've also got Cramorant here for 2 colourless energy, and might I remind you, Twin Energy will work very nicely indeed. You do 60 damage for each Arrokuda discarded from your bench. So you can either just try and get BARRASKEWDA up to treble the damage, or you can get Cramorant hitting for up to 240 per turn, and do of course remember that Nessa will be great in this deck. And all of a sudden, we've actually got a really nice trio here. You've got to play the Arrokuda to play the BARRASKEWDA, so you might as well play 1 or 2 Cramorant as well and just see where the wind takes you. I'm not sure on the exact best way to play this yet, but I do feel confident there is a really good deck waiting in there somewhere. Now, in at number 8, my personal choice for number 1, it's Phanpy and DOnphan. I am absolutely over the top in love with Phanpy and DOnphan in a way that I haven't been with cards for a while, frankly. Now, DOnphan for a single energy does 120 damage. Gee whiz! Stage 1 that does 120 for a single energy? Why would I possibly be interested in that kind of card? It does have an extra 10 HP, which is nice. But instead of discarding the top 4 cards of your deck, you deal 20 damage to each of your bench Pokemon, which might sound bad until you realise that Phanpy is great. Because for 2 energy, you've got the Strike Back attack. It does 30 damage for each damage counter on this Pokemon. And this can be used with a whole bunch of stuff. You can use it with something like Spiritomb, that's got the same attack, but it does 10 base, but it has 10 less HP, so the damage cap is actually lower, but it's got an ability that damages itself. But then again, you can always use Jinx to move that damage over to Phanpy. I love this. I love Phanpy. I love DOnphan. I love how it combos with Spiritomb. There are a million different ways to play this deck, and you have my word, I shall be trying them all. But the reality is, as a pair of cards, there is so much potential here. I just hope everybody sleeps on it, because I hate playing mirror matches. And I promise you that is the last time we're going to lump cards together. From now on, it's 1 card per place. In at number 7, we've got AEGISLASH. And I do mean V, not VMAX. I'm not loving the VMAX, but I love the V. For free metal energy, you do 130 damage. but the damage is not affected by any effects on your opponent's active Pokemon. This is awesome, because Zacian decks, which are going to be the ones that play this, they're playing Metal Saucer anyway, and a lot of them are going to be playing Energy Switch anyway, and they might be playing Turbo Patch anyway, so you're not really going to struggle to get the energy onto Aegislash here. But the great news is, it gives you an answer to all of those super awkward things. Things like Decidueye that would block GXs. Things like Obstagoon that would block basic Pokemon. You can now go through them, and that is absolutely wonderful. The VMAX, for what it's worth, 160 plus 30 for each prize card you have taken. If you've taken 5 prize cards, you'll do 310. That's a lot of damage. But let's be perfectly clear here. This is not the reason we're excited about Aegislash. We're playing it for the V. The VMAX is just a nice bonus you may wish to indulge in. In at number 6, we've got Telescopic Sight, though it will always be Longview Lens to me. That's how it was initially translated coming out of Japan. It says that the attacks that a Pokemon this card is attached to do 30 more to your opponent's benched Pokemon V and benched Pokemon GX. And sometimes you'll be playing something like Inteleon and you'll get a bit of extra damage on the field, and yay, that's lovely. But sometimes you'll be playing Cramorant, and all of a sudden that Crobat V, which is sitting all smugly on the bench going, ha 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 ha, you only do 160 damage, I've got 180 HP, is now cowering and crying because you in fact do 190 and you do get the KO. Make no mistake about it, this is going to change the game, at least in some ways. Cramorant, clearly probably the best use for this, but don't think it's going to be the only one that ever uses it. In at number 5, we've got Memory Capsule. And Memory Capsule is one of these wonderful cards where it's got so many uses now, and we're only going to get more uses as time goes by. This is going to be a card that just keeps getting better and better and better and better as more and more cards are released. Now, there's some obvious ones here. I mean, I've already told you about DOnphan and Phanpy. Now, all of a sudden, you're doing 30 damage for each damage counter on you. But instead of being a 70 HP Phanpy, you're 150 HP DOnphan. That's kind of awesome. It means that when the Cramorant VMAX comes out, you are actually going to be able to use Cramorant VMAX with just a triple acceleration energy to essentially use Cramorant's attack in just a single energy. Although, remember, you cannot play Telescopic Lens and Memory Capsule together. That would be, well, frankly, ladies and gentlemen, that would be a little bit unfair. There are so many Pokemon that are going to use this, it's almost not even really worth trying to go through a list. All I can tell you is, anytime you've ever seen an attack on a pre-evolution and really wanted to use it, yeah, this has got you back quite nicely. In at number 4, we've got Jirachi Amazing Rare. Now, I have been extremely high on this card since it got revealed. I know not everybody has been there with me. I will say that in terms of pricing early, this is trending as one of the, if not the most expensive of the Amazing Rares. Maybe it's because Jirachi's popular. I happen to think it's because it's good. It's got an ability, Dreamy Revelation, that says once during your turn, if this Pokemon is your active, you may look at the top 2 cards of your deck and put one of them into your hand. And okay, it's only the best from the top 2 cards, but then again, you can use U-turn board, and it doesn't put itself to sleep. And it's not rotating in September. Other Jirachi. So frankly, I like this. I do think it's going to see a bunch of play. And the attack is awesome as well. It's just super annoying. 1 Psychic, 1 Fighting, 1 Metal. But then you search your deck for up to 7 basic energy and attach them to your Pokemon in any way that you like. If you can get Jirachi rolling and maybe you attack with ADP to get the energy on Jirachi and then go from there. If you can get the attack rolling, it is flat out amazing. But if you can get the attack rolling is the operative phrase there. In at number 3, we've got Coalossal VMAX. And this is my kind of Pokemon because it's a high progressive fighting Pokemon. I'm kind of in. I'm not a huge fan of the V. The V doesn't really do much for me, but the VMAX absolutely does. For a single energy, you do 40 damage, but you discard the top card of your deck. If it's an energy card, you do 130, and you attach that energy to this Pokemon. And remember, we've got Oranguru to guarantee it will be an energy. And the thing is, it doesn't have to be a basic. So a weakness card energy would work, that stone fighting energy we mentioned earlier would work, etc, etc. And that is going to build up the second attack, GMAX Boulder, that does 240 damage. Decks like Eternatus and Pikachu should be terrified of this card. But even if you're not weak, this is still a very fast, very efficient, very consistent Pokemon that should be able to make waves even when it's not hitting for weakness. In at number 2, we've got Snorlax. And I'm going to tell you right off the bat, I'm going to admit it right now. This is one of those ones I could be really wrong about. This is one of those ones that I could look back on and go, how was that number 2? But the fact of the matter is, we like drawing cards. Drawing cards is good. Drawing cards gets us set up. And this allows us to draw cards, which makes me pretty high on it. If it's in the active, you draw until you've got 7 cards in your hand and your turn ends. But remember, that's exactly what Tropical Beach did, and Tropical Beach saw plenty of play. No, you're not going to play this in speed decks. But remember that turn 1 going first, you can't attack anyway. So you might as well do something like this. The big issue for this, honestly, is going to be getting it in the active. You need to get it into the active. But if you can get it in the active turn 1, you're going to sit there and draw cards. In stage 2 decks, this is going to be amazing. In setup decks, it's going to be amazing. In any deck where you don't have a great turn 1 option going first, and most decks don't, this is a good thing. If you really want to be playing this, you probably want to be playing a bunch of Switch and Scoop Up Net. But a lot of decks are playing a lot of them at the moment anyway, so you're fine. I think this could be huge. But in at number 1, I'm going Talonflame V. I think Talonflame V is the best card in the set, and this is one of those I didn't have to think very hard about. When I go through the set and make my top 20 list, I try and put them in order and then I move them around at the end. And when I got to Fire, I put Talonflame at the top and I never moved it. I love Talonflame. It is the best turn 1 Pokemon we've got. It's got free retreat, which is great. When you're done, just get it out of the active. For a single energy, if you go first, you can discard your hand and draw 6 cards. Now, you can do this if you go second, but you can use this attack if you go first. So now you've got an extra consistency going first. If you go second, 160 for free energy. Oh, look. Welder, attached for the turn. Boom! That's free energy. So you're against a Zacian deck. They go first, they do their Intrepid Sword thing, you have a turn, boom, KO for 2 prizes. I love Talonflame going first, turn 1, and I love Talonflame going second, turn 1. Do bear in mind, if you're not playing a fire deck, it's still got free retreat, that first attack is still colourless energy, you do not need to be playing a fire deck to use fast flight. Though you do for Bright Wing. And I do feel very comfortable putting Talonflame number 1 here, with very few reservations. So there we go, ladies and gentlemen. That's my top 20 from Vivid Voltage. But now it's over to you, lovely ladies and gentlemen. I'd like to know your top 20, your top 10, your top 5. Whatever list you want to give me in the comment section, I want to hear it. So go nuts, but be nice. And then make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Twitter at TheWasi, and Twitch for some live action at twitch.tv/PTCG Radio. If you want to support the channel, get some bonus podcasts and all that good stuff, head on over to patreon.com/PTCG Radio, where you can do exactly that. But by far the most important thing, as always, look after yourselves till next time, would ya? Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching PTCG Radio.